Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Momenta on the Main Line. We're your hosts. I'm Dr. Joanna Ilan.
And I'm Dr. Ilan Green. We're here to talk about all things health, wellness, fitness, performance, and overall well-being. Hope you enjoy the show. Guest today is a strength and conditioning coach and owner of DEA Strength Training in Narberth, PA. He holds a multitude of certifications, including being a Strong First team leader, a certified strength and conditioning specialist through the NSCA, a functional movement system certification, and USAW weightlifting certification. He began personal training in 2009 before opening his own gym, DEA Strength Training, in 2014, and began working for Strong First as a team leader in 2018, where he helps to teach courses about proper kettlebell, barbell, and body weight training principles. He works with a wide variety of individuals, ranging from the general public, including your hosts, and youth to professional level athletes. Outside of lifting heavy things, he enjoys golfing, rooting on Philadelphia sports teams, and introducing us to some fantastic local pubs as a result of his monthly no-shower happy hours. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Dea.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Decent intro? Did we do okay?
I think we did good.
Okay. So we went brief background, but I know we've talked about it in the past, but just so people know, can you tell us a little bit about what brought you into personal training and that field in general? Because I know it didn't start out that way, right?
No, it did not start out that way. So actually, I went into college as a music major, which catches a lot of people by surprise. Decided that was not what I wanted to do. Had a little bit of a rocky career just in college to begin with, but what ended up happening was I had gotten a job at the local fitness center at my university. And when I got the job there, I was really kind of trying to turn my life around. And I just kind of became fascinated with, getting myself back in better shape, but learning more about why this versus that, and seeing some of the trainers there. And then our manager at the fitness center, said, hey, if you want to go get your personal trainer certification, we'll pay for it. And it was, like a $100, 8-hour, sit, here's the answers to the test. Great. You passed certification. But essentially that's how it kind of got started. And it was just something that I was really, really passionate about. And I wasn't exactly sure what else I wanted to do, at that point in time. And so I was training there. I got a job as a trainer at another local small gym. And then I got a job out back this way, closer to Philly, working for a larger gym. And that kind of just led me down the path to the personal training, and now here I am running my own my own thing.
I want to know a little bit more about the music background. What were you specifically doing with that, or what was your intro to music? And then we'll come back to the training.
So was always into music as a kid. I actually was not super into sports. I played some sports, but I stopped pretty much after middle school. It was just not something that I wanted to keep doing, but I was really into, I played guitar. I played some other instruments too, but I initially went, for jazz guitar for music. And then I kind of just realized, well, it's not super easy to make a living in music, but shout out to all my friends who do. I just didn't think it was really for me, and it also kind of, when I started studying it as oh, this is going to be your career, it sort of sucked the passion I had for it, creating and doing things like that. And I loved performing and doing stuff like that, but it it just was not really worth the time. But I still play occasionally, it's fun. So it just became something more that I wanted to keep as
Keep your hobby.
yeah, recreationally. So, yeah.
Well, and I know it's inspired a little bit of the gym in terms of like heavy metal Mondays and.
Oh yeah. Definitely I have a wide range of music tastes. So we get heavy metal Monday, and we have got 90s on Wednesday, and I'll probably try and find. I gotta work out some of the other days, but those two are pretty solidified for right now. But yeah, I like a lot of different kinds of music, and definitely, I hope I try to use it as best I can to give the gym a little bit more personality. Yeah. So.
I mean, yeah, good music always makes harder workouts a little bit easier. Oh, yeah. So we appreciate it. Well, so, I mean, we talked a little bit about the gym, but tell us, like, so what's the gym, like, what's the style approach to training? Like, what kind of people are you working with?
Sure. So right now, I mean, it's been a long way coming, but I feel like, since 2014, it's become more and more refined, so to speak. Right now, we are mostly working with general population clients, people who just want to, feel a little bit better, get a little bit stronger, be able to play with their kids, their grandkids, participate in other physical activities that they're doing. Maybe they just want to get away for an hour, for a day after work. But also, it's what I have found is a lot of our population is people who have tried many, many different things, and not to say that those other things did or didn't work, but maybe they've just kind of changed their perspective on how they view fitness and training in general, to more of the long game rather than just like, it's April and Memorial Day is going to be here before we know it sort of ordeal. So I feel like we get a lot of people like that. So it's mostly small group, anywhere 3, 4, 6 people. Everybody gets their own, program. We focus on we're largely principle based, as far as how we approach things. I try to promote a balanced physical training system. So kind of like, you need a certain amount of each thing. The dosage is in what's the word? The saying, the dosage is in the details, or the devil's in the details, whatever it is, whatever. So yeah, just making sure everybody gets the right amount of what they need. Obviously being physically active is better than being inactive, but how many of us, myself included, have gone so far to one direction, whether it's into like heavy lifting and powerlifting, or we have our marathon runners. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but some people may just start running endless miles without any desire for competing in a marathon, but they just think that they're being healthy. Or some people just go into the gym and they start picking up the heaviest thing they can find, thinking that's what's going to get them healthy. It's like, well, what do you actually need? Let's try and create, a more well-balanced system here. So that's kind of how we approach it right now. I try to keep it fun. I joke around that, like, I just wanted to make my own personal like play place, and we just happened to work out at it. So I try to keep that sort of theme there. I don't know that my fiance would like that as much, but that's okay. Yeah, I try to keep it fun, lighthearted. We do our no shower happy hours. As I've said on my sign, if you like working out but also love pizza and beer, then we're probably the gym for you. So, I try to preach a more of a, the people's gym kind of idea. So yeah.
And one thing I definitely appreciate within your structure is that in your programming, I have like a physical piece of paper where I'm able to track my progress, which you don't typically get unless you're outside of the one-on-one personal training experience. I feel, at least not in my experience, where I'm able to literally, so long as, and I have an issue with this, but write down the numbers that I was using and making sure that I'm actually keeping track of my progress. But I mean, just having that built into the programming where it's like, hey, look at how far you've come already. And this, I know for me personally within your gym, Turkish get-up was always something that I knew was good for me, but never forced myself to practice. Right. But now it's so much better and it feels so much better. But yeah, that's definitely one thing I really appreciate about your style, and just working in the mobility work. That's also another thing that's not done, especially within our realm and our profession. It's definitely appreciated to see that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
What I think, so when we came to the area, I think we've been working out with you since July of last year. And I think one of the things that we were looking for was somebody who, I guess, had a little bit more of a functional approach to things, just for ourselves. I mean, like we've done a lot of different stuff, and we've always like enjoyed, working out in general, but it just felt like your approach was, like you said, like the most balanced in terms of strength training, but still being like building a strong foundation, but also like it's not easy. Sure. None of that stuff is easy.
Oh no. Well, so I have to give credit to my friends down in Virginia at Beyond Strength and Performance, Chris Merritt and Todd Bumgardner. They really kind of they also run a podcast called Strength Faction, so shout out to those guys. Cool. Yeah. But Chris and I were talking, and he used to do like individual programs, completely different program for every single individual, and he just kind of was starting to change the way he was doing it and was showing me it, and that's kind of exactly, I pretty much carbon copied exactly what he's doing, because we both think alike and have similar ideas as far as like how we train people, and it's just like it just works so well with being able to personalize it, but you still get that same like people like being in classes, they like hanging out with each other. There's a community aspect to it. It's not one-on-one personal training, and everyone's still like working at the same pace, but you're doing what's appropriate for you. And for people who like yourselves, who are a little bit more savvy in the fitness and exercise world, you've got options now where you've got a little bit more autonomy to choose what you want to do, rather than me just barking orders, which is, I mean, that's how I used to do it. It would just be like, here's the workout of the day. But I hated that, that to me made it, others were doing that. And I felt that what I was doing was different, and I wanted to find a way to provide more value. So again, when you get some of those people who had tried many different things, well, what are they really getting if they've already done the gym that does a random workout every single day? And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I just wanted to offer something a little bit more specific and something that was more easily tailored to the individual if I needed it to be. Some people don't want it to be. Some people are like, nope, just tell me what to do. Like, here we go. And then I also wanted to make it more of a, with Chris's and Todd's approach, what I liked about it was that people improved skills, not just worked out for the sake of working out, but their skills actually improved. So they could see like, okay, if we're doing front squats, kettlebell front squats, like, over a 4-week period and maybe longer, they're practicing that on the same day every single week. So they can see like, on paper, like you said, oh, I'm getting better at this. Because if you only do it once and then you don't do it again for another 2 months, well, I mean, maybe you could get better, but I would say it's probably a better practice to do it like on a consistent weekly basis. So yeah, just again, shout out to them. They set me up at least, but I think it's, just an awesome way to do things, and people have seen a lot of success with it.
Well, so I got two things. So first, I know you talked a little bit about the specific program, so I just want to break that down because it is very different than anything that I think we've seen in gyms. Because I think there's something where, and I'll use the word like periodized, which I know is like for folks who don't really know about like periodized programming, it's essentially thinking like long term and scaling programs to be able to match so that you have periods where it's like you're slowly increasing and then you have a little bit of a rest and then you bring it back. And so it's a lot more realistic to long-term development than just going like, like head through the wall every single workout, yes. Which I appreciate. And that's something that I think I was really impressed by, and something that's worked really well for us just as your clients too, is having all of those things worked in. And so that's something that I think is really unique that you don't really find often. And so I think the other thing about it is you give, every at least good coach knows how to like progress and regress movements, but you have all those built into the programs too. Right. And so you can pretty much see somebody who's brand new to somebody who's really advanced, and they can all work out together and feel really confident in doing it, which is really cool. Yes. And so I just wanted to highlight that from it, because I think the way that you program makes a heck of a lot of sense. And I think it's really inviting to a wide range of people for it. I
was just going to say that it's beneficial to not only like the students, but it's beneficial to me too. It makes my, if like, I remember when I was like starting the gym, like I was like, how do I make my job easier? Like, but still be just as productive. And so when you have, like you said, those baked in progressions and regressions right there on them, and your students are seeing the words, it's not me just telling you them, but so they know okay, I'm seeing kettlebell deadlift before I see barbell deadlift. They're like, they know the difference rather than me just having to like verbalize it. They're hearing me say it, but they're also seeing it on paper. And then for me, it's like, I don't have to think, oh, where should we go from here? Nope, it's already pre-programmed right in there. So, it makes my job easier too on top of that. And I think that's like a really big component. And even thinking about it from like the point of view of like the less mental energy I have to waste, the more like proficient and more benefit I can provide or value I can provide to the students as well too. So it makes my job easier, but it also makes me, I feel it makes me a better coach too. So.
Yeah. And so I guess the second part of the question that I had, I think terms like functional training get thrown around a lot, so much so that they almost lose their meaning. But I think that like what you do fits like that definition almost perfectly, And so I think, and we'll get into some of the more like specific stuff, because I know you've done, or you have been getting more and more into like golf specific stuff, which we'll get into in a minute. But I wanted to ask you, because I think one thing that we focus on a lot in our practice is that sort of like functional movement approach, where we're looking at the foundational movement things of like, can somebody squat and hinge and push and pull and, use their core properly. But the thing that we love so much about your gym and why we encourage people to check it out is because you're loading all of those patterns, but also doing it in a way that they can get better at certain skills, and it transitions directly into the things that they're doing every single day. Like, it almost like makes better humans. And so is that like, did you develop that approach from your background in Strong first, or is that something that just like from training yourself that you developed, or how did that kind of come to be?
So Strong first, definitely huge influence in that kind of aspect of it. I want to say, Dan John and his books and the way he kind of approaches things so simply, like, also I love his thing about like, the basic human movements, everything kind of falls under one of those sort of umbrellas there. So definitely I would say those two were the biggest influences. And then I also, it just kind of like, again, it made sense. It was like easy to like systemize too. So it was like, okay, well, if these are the patterns that provide the most bang for your buck, like there are different ways we can do these things. And, I never really felt the need to like entertain people necessarily, either with exercise at least. So I would say like, yeah, it just, again, going back to like, okay, well, these things provide the most benefit and it makes it easier on me too. So it's not like I definitely, when I first started out and I was running like a boot camp style thing, it was more or less like the mindset was, oh, I need to find as many exercises as I can that these people go, wow, this is cool. Like, this is really, really neat. Like, doing like farmers carries, but with like holding bands that are wrapped around kettlebells or something, and they're bouncing all over the place, and it's like, yeah, but it's functional, guys, like, so it's like you get, I think when I became a little bit more confident in like what I was doing, I didn't feel the need to change it up every single day. Unfortunately, like, training is boring. Like, it's, if you really want progress over the long term, it's like, if you want to, like, you're not going to the movies, it's boring. It's slow. It takes a long time. But like, if someone knows what they're doing and they're helping you along, and then you put yourself in a fun atmosphere and you do things, that's where it's like, okay, we can add the entertainment elsewhere, but like, I don't need to be doing like, burpees with backflips over a bar or something like that. And so I just kind of stopped trying to be like, or necessarily to be afraid of like people saying like, oh, well, we did this the other day. And it's like, well, so what? Yeah, we're doing it again today because it's good for you. It's, you got to eat your fruits and veggies. So like, sorry. So yeah, the functional aspect of it definitely influenced from Strong First, from Dan John. And even I want to give a shout out to Joe DeFranco and Jim Smith from their like sports performance stuff too. They were probably like my first like big time influences. And they definitely have some more like intricate kind of stuff to train people. I mean, they're training pro athletes and things like that, and that's what those guys want, and seems to work fine for them. Yeah. But like for me to take a 10-year-old kid and have them doing again like push-ups on bands where their arms are shaking when the kid can't even do a regular push-up, what's the point? Like, so but those guys were definitely big influences too, and definitely harbored some of those like big foundational types of exercises in their patterns. So yeah, I would say that's probably mostly where I got it from it, and it just made it easier for me to systemize and to create a program out of. So yeah.
So I know you're working a decent bit with Strong First, doing some certification courses, right? Can you talk a little bit about like what that's about, what your role in it is?
Sure. So I am a Strong First team leader instructor, which means that I have gone through all of their certifications, and then I was promoted to that position, and it allows me to run their workshops, which is one workshop is a 4-hour sort of mini course that's kind of like an intro to whatever the topic might be. For me, I mostly do the kettlebell ones, but they do body weight and barbell stuff as well too. And they've got different, so like for kettlebell, they've got kettlebell 101, 201, and 301. So they've got like different progressions for that. And you can do those depending on what you want to. So maybe you want to get certified by them. These workshops are designed to help you go ahead and find your path for whichever certification you're doing. But they also have certain, like, they call them like achievements. So they have this simple and sinister achievement that you could work towards. They've got the Beast Tamer Iron Maiden. And then they do this twice a year. They call it the Tactical Strength Challenge, where it's more like a community event. So you could go through a progression of workshops that might help introduce you to that too. So that's cool. I do that on my own. So I'm a licensee for here in Philadelphia. So I try to run some of those workshops either twice a year. Probably going to bump it up to quarterly. So we've got one coming up on May 7th. We're doing kettlebell 101 and 201 at my gym. But then I also host some of the certifications. We've had, the barbell certification at my gym, as well as the body weight certification. And then I've been fortunate to go and actually teach at the large certifications here in Philly and elsewhere. Get to travel around and help teach those certifications, which is cool. It's a lot of fun because it's, they're all coaches, so they all care about this stuff just as much as we care about it and find it interesting. So it's a little bit different than, the everyday training type stuff. And when you're in a room of 60 people who are just as passionate about all these things as you are, it makes for a fun environment. But yeah, I really love doing that. Definitely gives me, sort of the feeling of like making a larger contribution to certain things. And yeah, it's just, it's a lot of fun. I'm very fortunate to work for them. So, yeah.
This is kind of off topic of that, but still kind of within the same realm. What kind of advice would you give someone who is looking to get into weightlifting but has zero experience so far? I'm sure you have that walking through your door quite frequently. So what kind of things do you tell someone who's all new? It's all new to them.
My first thing I guess I would say is find something that you like first, and stick with that. I think it's rare for someone to stick with something that they dislike. So even if it's maybe not the best approach, you can get there. Always be curious and always be like asking questions. But again, like if you hate what you're doing, there's no way you're gonna stick with doing it. And then weightlifting is such a broad like category. Like I'm not a power lifter. I'm not an Olympic lifter. So it depends on what kind of path you're trying to go down. But the one thing that I do love, at least about like some of the things we teach at Strong First, and even back to like the basic movement stuff, is it is all very basic. Like you can get to any one of those modalities, the more specific modalities, starting in that kind of place. So it's hard to say, because like if someone's just starting out, they more than likely don't know what to look for. And I feel like it's just like there's so many things out there that look the same as something else, and it can take a while to sort of sift through what you're really looking for to find. So that's why, like if you're getting a little bit of everything, I think like if you can find, some kind of, group or training program that does teach some of those like foundational hinge, push, pull, squat movement patterns, like that's a great place to start. I would suggest staying away from things that appear fancy. Like it. Yeah. Oh, what is there is some. It's like complication or something, just like disguised as complexity or something like that. Oh, it's a great quote. I'll have to find it. But it is something. It's pretty much just like, no, this just looks like it's good for you, but it's not really doing. It's just a waste of time. Yeah. But yeah. Oh, now it's making me mad that I can't remember that quote. But yeah, it is. Yeah, like try to stay away from things that, again, just like look cool, like the shiny objects. Like I hate, you see it a lot with like young kids when like the parents come in and they've watched Sports Center and they see, whoever doing all these like crazy things. And it's like, okay, I'm not saying that doesn't work. Yeah. All I'm saying is that like that we got a long way to go, and we haven't even, you're trying to shoot a cannon out of a canoe here, so to speak. So maybe let's pull it back and just get really, really good at like the basics first. And so start there. That's probably what I would say for that.
Yeah. Kind of like I feel like I've heard like the what is it, like the cupcake analogy or whatever, where it's like the cupcake itself is like the foundation of everything. It makes up the majority of it. And then there's like a little bit of like frosting where it's like, all right, you're getting like kind of some more complicated stuff, but not a heck of a lot. And then the sprinkles on top is the stuff you see on Instagram,
Yes, that's exactly it. All they want is the sprinkles.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and so I guess, and we were talking a little bit about it before we started recording too, but I know that, well, you've developed a pretty heavy passion for golf yourself, which I know, given your background in training, has, gotten you like training a little bit more for golf. Yeah. And I know we talked a little bit about that, like 95% and 5%, where it's like same concept, where it's like, a lot of people don't realize that sport training, a lot of it is foundational. A lot of it is very, very basic and straightforward. And then there's some stuff that you throw in to make it specific for that sport. But can you talk a little bit about like your experience and what you've noticed in your own game?
Yeah. Oh man, my golf game. So no, I picked up golf during the pandemic, during the shutdown, because there was nothing else to do. So just like a lot of other people, and pretty much became obsessed with it. It's taken a long time, but it's kind of finally at a place where like I don't feel like I'm the worst player on the planet. But yeah, I really, really love it. And it was, it was so frustrating, and is still so frustrating for me, because it's like I've trained golfers, you know, for my whole career. Like I've trained athletes, so like, and golfers are a part of that. And I understand the concepts of like the biomechanics and things like that. Exactly. Like I understand that very well. So you just get you watch, like you take videos of yourself and you're like, you look like an idiot. Like why are you doing that? And it's like, I just totally turned into like meathead Kev, where it's like, me Kev, me hit ball, like ball go far, you know? And, you know, it's funny that now that like my golf skills, while not good, but have improved, like how effortlessly, like when you do make that like clean contact, nice easy swing, and the ball just goes right. And it's like, and I'm out driving some of my friends that like have been playing for 15 years, and that's where it's like, oh, I've like we were just saying, like it's like I'm not necessarily consistent at it, but like when I make good contact and my body functions the way it's supposed to in the golf swing, like my basics of strength and power that I've been working on myself for years and years and years, it's like the floodgates just open, right? And again, then the ball just goes, you know? Even one of my buddies is, he like, you know, he helps me out a lot. And the other day I hit like a 285, 290 yard, like carry drive. And it was like, see, like, I know that I can do that. And I didn't have any help from the wind or anything like that. Like, yeah, before you start talking, you know, smack to me, it was like a straight up legit, like authentic. And that's where it's like, man, like if I could just do that every single time. Exactly. Right. You know? And again, it's like, so there's definitely some things that like I do that like I think would be a little bit more, you know, they definitely like help with golf, but I never did them to help with golf. It's like I've always done like a fair amount of like deadlifting and squatting. I've always maintained fairly decent like mobility in my hips and my T-spine. I've always done like single-sided stuff, anti-rotation type stuff. You know, sprinting, jumping, things like that all kind of contribute to that. So now for me, it's been kind of fun working with some golfers who not necessarily are like, you know, high school or even collegiate athlete golfers, but they're people like me who are just like, you know, like if I can get them to like outdrive their friends, it's like, that means the world to them. You know what I mean? So it's been fun, you know, working with them, with people like that. When I get the chance, you know, I always make sure I tell people like, listen, we're not changing your swing here. I'm not going to comment on how you swing or anything like that. You have a golf coach you can go talk to. I can't promise you that I'm going to make you better at golf. I'm just going to make sure that you're more physically fit. And I believe that will help you hit the ball further. And then you can go take care of the rest of the stuff with your coach.
Yeah, what I think in general, we see a lot of like recreational athletes, some competitive, but I mean, the majority of us who like grew up like playing sports or being physically active want to continue doing that. And I think a lot of people don't realize, like, you don't necessarily have to like train like a professional, like it doesn't have to be your full-time job, but like if you are physically active or like, you know, recreationally active and going out and golfing or like playing tennis or, you know, whatever, like it is important to be strong, you know, to do the work otherwise. And I think kind of bringing it back to your training approach, I think a lot of the stuff that you do focuses on, I mean, it's the best like bang for your buck in terms of the exercise selection. And a lot of that has to do with the style, like using kettlebells and barbells and things like that tend to, I guess, transition over to more athletic movements, even just for like general population like ourselves, you know?
Yeah. Well, and you know, I guess like in my own training, like, again, talking about like balance, it's like, okay, well, we all need a certain amount of like strength. We all need a certain amount of like, I would call it like power or athleticism, you know, being strong and fast at the same time. We all need a certain amount of like cardio. We all need a certain amount of mobility and flexibility and things like that too. So it's like, okay, well, but like how much of each one of those things do you need? And I think that when you get that sort of mixture right for the average person. Now that mixture looks different for, again, someone who is a professional golfer or is a professional powerlifter or is a professional basketball player. But for us, people who don't play sports for a living and are just like sort of weekend warriors, I think when you have the right general balance of those core principles, that it kind of just automatically, like, you don't have to play sports or do those things. It's still going to be beneficial to your regular everyday life, but also kind of will show up in those things. We got a lot of people who play, softball, and pickleball is like a new thing now. I don't know what that is, but like whatever. I know they use a paddle, and it's kind of like, what is it? Is it like advanced ping pong or something? I don't know. It's like I have no idea what it is, but I know. I don't think so, but yeah. So I know that's like a thing now too. But yeah, like if it's like if we can enhance some of those other, because we do those things because they're fun, and like they're not fun when we're not good at them, or we can't physically manage them. Yeah. So it's like, all right, well, if we can help you physically do those things that are what you do for fun, well, that's good. That's what I want to do. Makes life better. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think just in general, and you mentioned it before too, but I think a lot of it is just like the environment that you've created, like the atmosphere and your approach to things. I think it's just, it's really realistic. And I think a lot of people, kind of like you said, chase things that are like really exciting, but then they don't really stick them out and they don't really get the benefits of it long term. And so I think that's one thing that we've been really happy about, since we've been training with you, and the thing that we like most about it, and which is why we wanted to be able to highlight you a bit for it.
Well, yeah. And I don't, listen, if it works for you, like, please keep doing it. Like, if you like what you're doing and it does, please don't stop doing it. But I think, one of the issues that like most people like me who are, one-man band trying to start their own thing is that, like, a lot of these places that we do compete with have like the bright, shiny lights, and it's like you walk in, it's this giant dopamine dump, which is cool. I'm not, listen, if I could have it, I would do that too. It's awesome. But like, if that's why you're going there, well, again, if it's working and you really, really like it, that's fine. But I think there's so many things like that in the fitness realm that people don't even realize are like pulling them to be attracted to that. Even myself, we've got Tired Hands Brewing Company right up the road here, right? And they've got great beer. But I got to tell you, like, when I first started going there, like, what would always attract me to want to go buy their beer was their cans. Like the way their cans just looked. Like, it's like the design. It was like, oh, that's like so cool or whatever. Not even necessarily that like the beer was spectacular, which it is, but like, it's like you don't even realize like some of the mind tricks that are being played on you. And so that's when it's like, when some of those people have done a lot of those other different types of styles of training, they grow old out of it, like whatever it happens to be. And they come to like, I really just wanted to have a place that was fun, but also like you couldn't argue like the meat and potatoes of what was actually happening there, if that makes sense. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And I feel like strength never goes out of style. It's like there's a lot of the flashy, trendy, like, fitness stuff, but yeah.
It's like, I don't know how many times, like, man, it just feels like you're beating a dead horse, but like, how many times have you guys seen, even on the internet or some other professional you're talking to, is like, yo, the number one thing you can do as you get older, like, that goes out the window first, is like your strength and like muscle mass and like things like that. Like, it is so incredibly crucially important. And it's like, I think even some people's like ideas of what like strength and like maintaining muscle actually is so far beyond what it really is, and that's where it's like, it's sad, and it's great that people want to do that. But that's where I just really like, like you said, it never goes out of style. And I really wanted to make sure that people were doing it, correctly. And it was something they could stick with. And, it's just like, I feel like it never sinks in. I don't know when it's going to, but in my own little pocket of the world, I'm trying to beat it into people. So, we'll see.
And I think especially coming from like a female perspective, it's not stressed enough how necessary it is for women to be resistance training. Oh, yeah. And so, I don't know when it happened, but somehow there was such a flip in the fitness world where such a heavy emphasis on like being entertained while working out, and just that it has to be some sort of production of some sort, and then all of a sudden there's this cult following of whatever, like whatever gym or something, but just back to the basics, especially for women specifically. You guys need it too, but we really need it. Our bone density is decreasing rapidly.
Yeah. Well, so even when Anna, my fiance, and I started dating, she was used to doing like all the like the HIIT classes where it was like cool and this and that, and it did actually, it really didn't take me that long to kind of pull her over, so to speak. But it's so funny to watch her, like, if she goes back and ever does some of those like style of classes, she's just like, we didn't really do anything, she's like, it's just like, whatever, like the weights are so light, like I just don't feel like I like did anything, like I barely got a sweat, like and it's like she, now when she's doing more like my style of training, she has a Peloton. She likes that fun. That's fun. And that's great. Oh yeah. Like, listen, there's nothing wrong with doing like fun stuff too. And especially like for her job, the Peloton's been great. She can like hop on and do like a little 15-minute ride here or there or whatever. But at the end of the day, like she now likes to like come in and like, she likes to deadlift and she likes to squat and she likes feeling strong and capable. And like she feels like she feels like she did work. She doesn't feel like she just got beat up. She feels like she accomplished something, but like it was productive. Okay, like not like, again, like she wanted to like die at the end of it either, too. So it's totally like just like completely changed her perspective on that too.
So in terms of people looking to come train with you, what does that look like when somebody comes to the gym? What can they expect? What does like the first couple classes look like?
Yeah, so we do like an intro, like a 10-day thing, come try us out if it's something that you're interested in. And really, for the most part, you're kind of thrown right into the swing of things. Now, that doesn't mean like you're going to be in there and going as hard as you can. Usually I tell people, hey, listen, I don't know you and you don't know me. We're going to be getting to know each other. So please don't do anything that hurts. Don't do anything that makes you feel sick. I want you to be able to get out of bed the next morning. Okay. You hurting yourself while you're in here doesn't do you any good, and it doesn't do me any good. So I'm very upfront, about like that kind of stuff. So please don't feel like I have these expectations of you when you come into the gym. As we get to know each other, I'll learn when you're dogging it, or even sometimes I got to pull people back. They work too hard. They come, they try it out. Usually, they'll get their program like we talked about earlier, and I pick everything first. And so I explain to them like how the class structure goes. And then I pretty much just like kind of keep an eye on them. I don't want to say like, I babysit them or hold their hand throughout the whole session, but I'm staying pretty close to them as they're getting comfortable. But one of the awesome things about it is that, a lot of people who come in have been there for a while, and they get to sit there and talk with these new people and sort of share their own experience, and they can say, hey, yeah, like I was right where you were, and it gives them a little bit more confidence. So that's kind of like the gist of it, so to speak. To come in, take it slow. I usually give them permission, like, hey, listen, if you feel like you're good enough to progress, you've got my vote of confidence. I'm not going to make you do it right now, but if you are interested, I think you can handle like, either a heavier weight or, doing more reps or whatever it happens to be. And then, we just kind of like work through that, and, usually, well, hopefully they like it enough and they stay on, Doesn't always happen, but that's such is life.
I don't think any of us have 100% success
No, not at all.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I know we covered a lot, and we're really excited to have you on just because we're big fans of what you do, and we just really appreciate your style of training. And so I'm hoping people find it helpful, because I think that mindset of like understanding that like it can be fun, it can be a good environment, but making sure that like the foundation is strong is super important. And so that's something we just really appreciate. So we're going to dive into some, we call it a lightning round. And I think we talked about it before. It's never necessarily been quick, so it doesn't have to be super quick. But yeah, we'll dive into some, they're just like random fun questions.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, cool. Joe's going to start with you.
What is the most influential book that you've read? And if it's not, if it doesn't have to be a book, even it can be a movie. It can be a song if you want. Whatever. What has influenced you the most?
I want to say from a like training wise, probably what's the Dan John one? I'm totally blanking on it. Yeah, I'm sure we could look it up. It's
It is.
oh my gosh. No. Nope. Intervention by Dan John was probably the most influential training book that I've ever read, because it goes into so much more. It's like, it's not like super like sciencey or anything like that. It's more like a principle based book. So that's probably the most influential training book I've ever read. And then just the otherwise, I read this book a long time ago called The Last Lecture by Randy Pausch. You've read that? Yeah. So Randy Pausch was this professor at Carnegie Mellon, I want to say. Yeah. And he got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And so he did a last lecture. So pretty much just like kind of like life sort of things too. And I just really liked that. I liked that book. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I'd read that in college, and I remember that was a really good read. Are you reading anything right now? Or listening? Yeah, good podcast, anything?
I listen to a couple of different podcasts. Do listen to Joe Rogan. It's funny. I also like if you've listened to Andrew Huberman of the Huberman Lab. I like him. He's like a sciencey, like he does more like I don't want to call it like, it's not biohacking, but that's just the term that's coming. He's more like, he's more like a legit, like, this is how your body works kind of thing, which is cool. Other than that, I'm reading a book about ADHD because I have horrible ADHD. So trying to figure out how to fix my ADHD or embrace it. I don't know. I haven't decided which way I'm going with it yet. So yeah.
All right. If you could have any meal delivered to your door tonight from anywhere in the world, what would it be?
I guess it depends on what I'm in the mood for right now. Yeah, today. First thing that came to mind was just, I like steak and eggs. So, yeah, it changes. Well, it doesn't change, but like I don't really have like a favorite food, I guess, so to speak. So that was just like the first thing. Like, I could really go for some steak and eggs right now. So I think that's probably what I would say.
Cool. All right. Last question. If you could go back in time and give advice to a younger version of yourself, yeah, what piece of advice would you give?
I think I would say, to work harder. Don't be so lazy. Yeah. No, just like, and not that I don't work harder. I just know so many other people who work so much harder than I do. And I do kind of believe in the whole, like, that luck is kind of like a residue of, like, design and effort, so to speak. so I've gotten lucky. So I wonder how much luckier I would have gotten had I worked a little bit harder and, done some things like that. So I think I would say, like, try and develop some better work like ethic habits and, yeah, the ADHD thing, this really screws me over. So, yeah, I think that's probably what I would say.
Well, I think it's tough too, because it's always comparison is the, what is it, the creator of
it's never, well, and so my Anna works like her tail off. She just works so hard. She's a workaholic. We're on like two complete opposite ends of the spectrum. She works too hard and I don't work hard enough. So we probably, we balance each other out fairly well like that. But even like I said, like, and it's not even necessarily that I think, a comparison. It's like, I don't know how people do it. Like, I just like, and some of these people that I know who work so hard, like, have kids, and I don't. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like, what do you do for fun? Like, it's crazy.
I'm only going to say it because I feel somewhat similarly in a lot of ways, but I think that don't quote me on this because I'm not an expert on this whatsoever, but I think that there's like a subset of the population, probably like you and me, that just can't sit still. And so like, I think, and I'm just going to speak for you anyway. I think a lot of our intelligence comes like kinesthetically. We're like, I feel like we're very good at understanding like movement and cues, and we're very like when we're moving, we are like honed in. Like how obsessed with like golf are you right now, and like training and all those things, where you've developed this like mass amount of knowledge and expertise. But like when it comes to other things that I feel like are classically things that people work hard at, I just have almost zero patience for. And so maybe I would say, don't be as hard on yourself, because I think that you've developed quite a knowledge for that. Well, and I guess I just relate to it,
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. It really, it depends on where you direct that energy. If we're talking like sales or something, it's like, oh my goodness gracious, like, please, I just want to, like, just leave me alone, don't talk to me. But like some of these other things that, like, it's a lot easier to like dive down that rabbit hole and really invest like a lot of your time. But that's where you got to have, you have the right people in the right seats to help you out, and you delegate things, and big on the delegation aspect of that. So that's how I do.
For sure. Well, yeah, I know that it's interesting. The reason we throw those questions in is because I do think it gets down to like a personal level. And I appreciate you talking about it too, because I also think it just highlights something about you that we appreciate is your like knowledge and dedication to the type of stuff that you do. And so, yeah, we appreciate it. So in terms of, we'll link it on here, but like, where can people find you? Like Instagram, Facebook, or website, or anything like that?
Sure. Yeah. So website is deastrengthtraining.com. I have an Instagram for the gym and then a personal one. The gym is DEA Strength Training. My personal one is _coach _Kev D, just the letter D _. You can also find me on the Strong First website. I have a bio up there that's connected to my email as well. And if you're ever looking for one of the workshops, typically my workshops will be in Philadelphia. Occasionally I'll go up to New York and do them there. But if you see workshops listed in Philly, I probably have some kind of involvement with them if I'm not running them. And then, we have our little humble abode, which is in Narberth, right in the borough. I don't have a Twitter or anything. I don't use like Snapchat or TikTok or no. Not a TikTok guy. Anna's trying to get me to make one, but I just am not into it. So it's not for me, but yeah.
And then any like projects or any like events or anything like that you have going on that you want to let people know about?
So again, May 7th, running the 2 different Strong First workshops. They're still for sale for people. They'll be for sale up until the day before. There's a Strong First certification happening the first weekend in June. It's a 3-day cert. So if you've been thinking about doing that, definitely would consider that. Other than that, nothing real huge or in the super near future. There will be a couple of certs in the area. We're doing the barbell cert in October at my space. So,
Happy hours.
oh, the happy hours. Yeah. Sorry. Duh. Yeah. So we do a no shower happy hour first. Well, I try to do it the first Friday of every month, but it doesn't always work out on the first Friday of every month. So the next one will be May 13th. It's 5 p.m. free workout. You can bring a friend if you want to. And then, so we do a workout and then we walk up the street to one of the bars and have some beers and hang out. So, yeah, I try to do that every single month, usually on the first Friday of every month. But yeah, so, and usually we have our friends from Momenta Chiropractic there with us. Yeah, yes. So if you want to catch some of their stuff too, you should come out and hang out with us there too.
Yeah, they're always a good time. We enjoy those. Well, thank you so much for being here. This has been a blast. We've been wanting to have you on for a while, so we're really glad that we got you in here and we're able to talk about this.
Well, it's been an honor and a privilege. So thank you for having me on. I hope that I was able to provide some kind of value to your wonderful listeners.
Cool. Thanks so much. We'll definitely do another one too, because I know we didn't get to touch on a bunch of stuff. So yeah, we appreciate it.